Today we are going to look at three kinds of convergent plate boundaries. So we are going to look at these three types. Then we will go to the Google Maps and explore all these features where they occur, like mountains, volcanoes, and earthquakes and tsunamis. So let's get started. There are three types of convergent plate boundaries. So firstly, this red line is oceanic plate colliding a continental plate here, and secondly, an oceanic plate colliding with another oceanic plate here, and thirdly, a continental plate colliding another continental plate. So we are going to go ahead and look at each of these convergent plate boundary types, and we are going to look at the features, what features we will find along these plate boundaries. So let's look at this first convergent plate boundary type, oceanic and continental plate collision. We are going to look briefly what it is and what happens when oceanic and continental plate collides. Then we are going to go ahead and see if we can find all these features in the Google Maps. So here is what happens when oceanic plate collides with a continental plate here. So this oceanic plate, when it collides with the continental plate, what happens is, because this oceanic plate is, even though it's thinner, it is denser. So mostly it is made out of basalt, which is a volcanic rock. So what happens is this plate pulled down or descends beneath or dives down under this continental plate. The continental plate is mostly made out of granite, which is less denser than the basalt rock, which is in the oceanic crust. So let's look at the features what we can find at this type of the plate boundary. Firstly, we will see a trench or a valley near the plate intersection. So wherever you see this oceanic plate diving down under the continental plate, you will see a big trench. Trench is a place where there is a huge difference in the altitude. So let's go to Google Maps and find this trench or valley. So here I drew a red line along this South American continent where the oceanic plate is colliding with the continental plate here. So let's go there to find if we have trenches along it. Here is the South American continent where the oceanic plate is colliding and subducting under this continental plate. If you zoom in here, you will see big trenches here. This plate is diving down under this continental plate. So you can see yourself on the Google Maps these big trenches. They are not everywhere. You see only along here, not on this side. And also you will see a trench along this bridge between North and South America here. So you can see trench here. So that is the first feature what we will see when the oceanic plate collides with the continental plate. So the second feature that we see at this plate boundary is volcanoes. After this trench area, you will find this volcanic arc mountains along here, a little further away from this trench. What happens is, when this plate is pulled down, this crust will start melting and it will become a magma. Then this magma will start rising and fills the magma chambers here. Then eventually it will reach up the surface, and either the volcano is going to explode or is going to flow out of these volcanic mountains. So let's go to the Google Maps and find out these things. Alright, here is all the volcanoes along this continental edge here where the oceanic plate is colliding with the continental crust. So if you zoom in here, you will see number of volcanoes. There is a lot of volcanoes all across these Andes mountains in South America, and all these red dots are the volcanoes. So you can zoom in and see these volcanic formations. So these volcanic formations are after this trench area, a little further away on the continent here. So you can find these all along wherever you see this subduction zone where the oceanic plate is diving down under the continental plate. So these are all the volcanoes here, so many of them. And the third feature we are going to find across this boundary is mountains. So here basically we see volcanic mountains here. There may be the mountains that are pushed up by this magma underneath here, which are like hills, in which case the lava did not come out of the surface but it just lifts up the ground. Or there may be mountains because of the push from this plate. All this crust is folded up and crumbled and lifted up by the tectonic activity. Let's switch to the terrain map so that we can see mountains. So we'll see mountain ranges all along this edge here where the plate subduction is happening right here. So you will find these mountains all along this continent here. So the last feature is earthquakes. So what happens is there is a tension between this slipping and sliding crust and this continental crust, and once the pressure starts building up, it releases suddenly, which settles down the stresses between the plates. That's when there are earthquakes. So you mostly find the earthquakes along these volcanic regions. Wherever there is a volcanoes here, there will be earthquakes here. So if you see this earthquake map here from 1900 to 2017, you will see most of the earthquakes along this border here, which is a convergent plate boundary where the oceanic plate and the continental plate colliding. And this is where we have mountains and volcanoes and earthquakes. So these are the main features that you will find at the oceanic and the continental plate collision. In next episode, we are going to look at what happens when two oceanic plates collide and what are the features. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for the next video.